All right, the next section looks at leadership theories. And so we're going to be looking at five leadership theories that are commonly used in organizations. And so you'll see those five on the screen at the moment: strategic leadership, servant leadership, transformational leadership, visionary leadership, and accountability leadership. So that's going to start in your section one from page 19. So that's where you can follow all of these different theories. So let's go into the nuts and bolts of these theories. Okay, strategic leadership is the process of using well considered tactics to communicate a vision for an organization or one of its parts. So, in other words, we need to move that organization into a specific place. It moves an organization from point A to point B. So let's say we are a new company. We want to become more established, we want to sell our products. So we need to come up with a strategy. And that strategy needs to be communicated to each part of the company, and everyone needs to be moving in the same direction. Okay, so it involves key people in the vision casting to achieve buy-in. So everyone needs to be involved in this. Production needs to be involved. Finance has to be involved. Research has to be involved because we all need to be moving together to wherever that point B is. Then we need to communicate with clarity and consistency. So it constantly needs to be communicated throughout the organization. So everyone is moving in one direction with alignment. So I'm going to tell you a little story about the two Steves that were involved in Apple. So there was Steve Jobs and a guy by the name of Steve Wozniacki. Now everyone's probably heard of Steve Jobs. Not everyone has heard of Steve Wozniacki. Now Steve Wozniacki was a genius. He put together the first computer, which was a Mac. And he just wanted to make the computer better and better and better and can do more things and has better functions. Now, Steve Jobs wasn't that interested in how the computer worked and what was inside the computer. He just wanted the computer to be easy to use, but beautiful to look at. Now, we now know that Apple is one of those that isn't the most technologically brilliant, but to look at and to use, it is incredibly easy. So Steve Jobs won that battle, and Steve Wozniacki eventually left the company. But Steve Jobs' vision was about making things easy to use and beautiful to look at. And so that has been their strategy all the way through. And so if Wozniacki had his way, they would have functionality that was okay, but that would be able to do incredible things. But ultimately, that was not the strategy. So Steve Jobs took over. He's a great communicator. Everyone knows what he's looking for, and that design always won. And so that was strategic leadership from Steve Jobs' side in Apple. All right, so that's strategic leadership. Then we have something that is slightly different. It's called servant leadership. It's the process of using well considered tactics to communicate a vision. Oh, okay. So this is actually that's the wrong theory. So anyway, we'll work with it. Ultimately, what it is that the leader is visible at every single level of the business. And so, in order for the business to do well, the organization to do well, its bottom level needs to be supported, looked after, and then we need to create a good environment for the bottom level. So, ultimately, it's what is known as an upside down pyramid, where the workers at the ground level are served and given the resources to succeed. Now, there's no real fantastic servant leadership model, but it's unselfish and the power dynamics are reduced. So it's not like everyone serves me because I'm at the top. It's supposed to be that everyone serves the person at the bottom level because they are executing the strategy. Now, there's a lovely company called Barry Weimiller, and Barry Weimiller is one of those examples of servant leadership. So, what happened is that in 2008, there was an economic collapse and people needed to lose their jobs. But what the CEO of that company decided to do was he said everyone is going to take a hit from the top level all the way down to the bottom level. Everyone is going to need to take a 10% pay cut and that they will then take extra 10 days unpaid leave.
So what eventually happened is that the guys at the top had enough money in reserve, so they gave up more than 10% of their salaries, and they gave up more than just 10 days unpaid leave. So they would then trade with those at the bottom. So those at the bottom had full salary and full pay and full days. And so they were able to keep on going. But those at the top took the biggest hit because they wanted to lead by example. So that is servant leadership. Because of that, people were more motivated at the bottom. They started to sell more. People heard the story and were bought into that brand. And that brand then became massive in America after 2008. So that is servant leadership, leading to everyone becoming more motivated and more productive. All right, so let's go to transformational leadership. So ultimately, we want people to transform. If people are transformed, the company is transformed. And so we talk about something called idealized influence. Okay, so what could you possibly become if you had all the resources in the world, if you had all the education in the world? What would you want to become? Now, this is the starting point. We would go to all of our employees and say, what do you want to become? Do you want to become a process engineer? Yes. How are we going to give you the resources to be able to do that? And we're going to build you into the business in that way. We're going to give motivation. We're going to motivate. We're going to make sure that you're engaged in the job, that you're constantly growing, constantly being challenged. And I want you to be transformed. We're going to watch you change and develop and grow. And because of that, the company is going to grow. Then I'm going to give you intellectual stimulation. So you have every opportunity to get training. And I'm going to make sure that you are linked to the training that you are most suited to so that you are constantly being stimulated intellectually. And then I'm going to make sure that every individual is looked after. So I'm going to look at your strengths and I'm going to develop strategies around your strengths and what we have. And then we're going to link your strength up to opportunities. So if you have those four aspects, well, then you are involved in transformational leadership. Then the next one is visionary leadership. So one person at the top is a visionary. They're talking about, changing the way that things are. So the industry has been the same for many years. This visionary leader is going to take us into a new tomorrow, into a different future using creativity and innovation. So they need to be good communicators. They need to be charismatic. People need to know their name. They need to be outgoing, and they are going to be pushing this leadership structure. Then they're going to be chief organizers. So they have to make sure that everything is organized in the way that their vision is sort of created. Then they need to be risk takers. So they're going to take a risk. They're going to try something that hasn't been tried before. And then they're going to strategically plan around this big vision. Okay, so leadership often revolves then around this person who's right at the top. And if they fall, if they leave, then everything falls apart. So we've heard about Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro set up Cuba. But the moment that Fidel Castro got too old, well, the ideals of Cuba sort of fell apart. It's now sort of being run in a far more democratic way. It used to be what was known as the communist way. But the leader pushed everything. And as long as the leader was still around, the company or the organization or the country would be moving forward. The moment that the leader left, then everything fell apart. All right, the last one is accountability leadership. Okay, so everyone has to do their bit. And if you don't do your bit, then the company can't succeed. And so everyone is held accountable for what they are able to do. So we judge you by your results, and everyone is held to the same set of results. And then you are almost treated like a contractor. You get paid for the deliverables. So if you are an incredible sales team, you guys get paid more than the research team if the research team is not getting the same results. So your results are led to better pay and to more prominence within your business. Then everyone accepts praise or criticism according to the outcome. So if you aren't doing well, you're going to get criticized. If you are doing well, you're going to get praised. So everything comes down to what your results are. And so that is accountability leadership. Okay. So formative 1.3. I want you to look at your own organization. And then you're going to do some analysis. What are the strengths and the weaknesses of your organization? Then based on that, what kind of leadership would lead to better results? So is it going to be servant leadership? Is it going to be strategic leadership? Is it going to be visionary leadership? Is it accountability leadership? Is it transformational leadership? So based on the strengths and weaknesses of your business, which leadership style or theory would give you better results? Now I want you to create a theory based on your strengths and weaknesses and give it, sort of create characteristics. So you don't have to take a pure visionary or pure transformational or a pure visionary. You're going to take a little bits and pieces of each theory. But now you're going to link it to the strengths and weaknesses of your business. Tell me about it, give it a name, and then prepare to defend this theory. Okay, so you're going to use this formative to do exactly that. But create your theory, give it characteristics, and then give it a name. And so put all your notes down under formative 1.3. All right, so good luck. Enjoy the exercise. It's about analyzing your own business and creating a theory around that using the theories that you've just learned. And then you're going to make notes about that. And then remember at the bottom, once you've done it, you're going to score yourself. I'm going to give you 15 minutes to be able to do that. So go through it with your team members if they're in the same place, or use WhatsApp to collaborate and then to put together formative 1.3. You got 15 minutes and then you come back to the next video.